Okay. This looks good. It's gonna test it. That works. Okay. We have Codex, Claude code. Okay, great. The sound. Perfect. So, just gonna check this. Thought you could check this video out. Okay. Yeah, so today I wanted to do like a comparison between running GPT-5 in Codex. So I kind of hooked up my subscription status. So I'm kind of signed in with ChatGPT here in Codex now. GPT-5, effort. So I wanted to try that out. But I haven't really tried it too much. Hello Mojave, how are you? If anyone has tried Codex with GPT-5, let me know. So I thought I could do like I want to do like a fair test. So I'm gonna, I think this is my last day on the Ultra subscription from Google One. So I'm gonna ask 2.5 Pro DeepThink to create a PRD. We can test Claude Code versus Codex with GPT-5. Ideogram API from Replicate. So I need to upload this. That is my plan. We're doing a comparison between Codex with GPT-5, Claude Code with Sonnet and Opus. We need a fair PRD to test them versus each other. Not too complicated, but an interesting challenge that includes backend, frontend using the Ideogram API from Replicate. I think I need to come up with something else too. But that is kind of the main thing I want to try out today. The comparison between GPT-5 with Codex and Claude Code with Sonnet Opus. Hello Fabian, did you get the chance to test out Codex? Didn't you talk about that? Or what did you want to test out? There was something you were thinking about testing, wasn't it? So it was really easy to... Did you? I'm gonna try it now. What did you think? So it was really easy to sign in with ChatGPT. You just had to upgrade Codex and run Codex login. So it was pretty easy. Pretty good with medium thinking. Okay. Yeah, you can see I'm on medium now. Reasoning effort medium. So I'm just gonna keep it there. GPT-5 medium, right? I'm on the plus plan. I didn't even know. High was also good, but with complex stuff a little over top. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep it on medium then. So what I've done now is I have given Claude Code and Codex the same environment or directories. They have an API key and they have the ideogram documentation. So Claude Code has this and Codex. So I'm gonna ask Gemini 2.5 Pro DeepThink to come up with a PRD so we can test them versus each other. But we're gonna do a challenge that includes both the backend and a front end using the ideogram API from Replicate. The API key is in the .env in root. Your task is now to create a PRD that challenges both models on a few different on a few different tasks. I think I was an Opus level. It was an Opus level for your test. Bit better, you will see. Yeah, I'm gonna try it. I don't know how it's gonna go though. So Gemini 2.5 Pro is pretty slow. So I'm just gonna start this. At least DeepThink. So hopefully we get like a nice PR. And hi Sitor. Hello Edgar, nice to see you again. Sitor. Edgar, did you have the chance to try out Codex with GPT-5? I'm gonna try it out now. And compare it with Claude Code. Feels good. Cool. So I signed in with ChatGPT, plus plan, GPT-5, effort is medium. I'm gonna start on that. I think. I know you probably talked about high. Okay. I'm just gonna keep it on medium. Just when it gets very complex, it gets slow and makes some mistakes. Okay. Just use it as it is. Yeah, I'm gonna just keep it at like this. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get Gemini 2.5 to create a PRD that's gonna use the Replicate API to create a PRD that is gonna be a challenge for both models. I'm just gonna take the PRD, send them to both, and see what I like best. So the ideogram is this ideogram character API. So you can do inputs and you can get different outputs of the same character. Hello JS, nice to see you. Welcome. So this is the project they're gonna work on. They can take an image in and they can use it on something else. So we're gonna see how that turns out. 2.5 Pro DeepThink is very slow though. So it's gonna take some time. But had a lot of fun this morning. I played around with, I made a video on it. It was really fun. Output styles. this was really cool. For open source, I also dropped a video, prompt engineering dropped a video by prompt engineering, some interesting OSS results and how they differ. In the link app, what did I call it again? Okay. Good. I also had this video. Davidas, nice to see you back. Welcome. I kind of like this guy, Matt, here. He's pretty good. He says, can Claude GPT-5 keep up with Claude Code? I might watch this video. You tested GPT-5 on OpenCode and Cursor too, but on Codex it's a different level. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Hello, Logo. Claude Code hooks. I have checked it out, but I haven't used it too much. I kind of want to get into it though. Do you have any like good use cases? Yeah, it seems pretty interesting. I have done a few things with hooks, but I haven't really found something I need every single, since I don't work in like a big code base or anything. Yeah, Edgar, I can drop the link. It's here, I guess. Hooks are great for linting. Yeah, I heard that. But okay, so we have the PRD now. It's quite big, not too bad. So I want to check it out first. The PRD for evaluating AI coding assistance, Codex, GPT-5 versus Claude Code. Implementing a full stack app that integrates the replicate ideogram API, front-end file handling, back-end security. Okay, user experience. Okay, it's going to use Express, React, Tailwind, Node. It's pretty good. The user uploads an image. The front end validates the image, converts it to base 64. User provides 3 separate text prompts. Okay. The user initiates the generation. The backend receives the URI and prompts. And concurrently initiates 3 separate calls to the API. The frontend displays a completed 3-panel comic strip once all images are generated. Okay, that can be pretty fun. Don't think I'm gonna go through the full PRD here, but I'm just gonna copy it. Alright, and I'm gonna save it as just PRD. Right, PRD. Yesterday, I thought I'd expand my personal image app to create storyboards, batch generation, and create LinkedIn carousels. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the ideogram character is pretty cool. It's very good. Okay, so now we both have the PRD in Claude Code. We have the PRD in Codex. So what I'm gonna do now is just head over here, and I think we're gonna get started to compare these two. Hello, Mugail. Today we are comparing Claude Code with Opus Sonnet and Codex with GPT-5. So we just had 2.5 Pro Deep Think create a PRD Hello, Jamie. And we're gonna take that PRD and give them to both GPT-5 and Claude Code and see which app we like the best. I'll check, Edgar. The price is 15 cents per output image, I think, or something. It's really good though. So this is the input image, and you can get these images, right? This is pretty good. This is very good. So you input this, you get this out. That is pretty similar. So we're gonna see how this turns out. So I think we're just gonna get started. Hello, calling Larry. What's up, Jamie? So I might record this into a video, so I'm just gonna do it like at least coherent. Generated said carousel, just threw 5 of the images into Manus and try out VO. Anime of your carousel, okay. V Redrick, nice to see you. We are just comparing open now Codex with GPT-5 versus Claude with Opus Sonnet. Is there a plan mode in here? I guess we don't need a plan. I guess we already have that. But I think I'm gonna use Claude Code the way I usually use it. So let's do this now. So I'm just gonna set it going on Codex first. Can we tag? Yeah, we can. Okay, so let's do, we have a task. It's in the PRD at PRD. Start with a good plan to solve this, then execute the task. I think that should be enough because we can already have the PRD. So I'm going to start that on Codex, GPT-5. And let's go to Claude. I'm going to do pretty much the same. So I guess we could just grab this. Same input prompt. But I'm going to use plan mode here because I'm used to that. Okay, so I want to check out here. So preparing to access the PRD file, locating it. We are doing some tool calling here, right? The speed looks pretty good, I would say. Planning the speed looks pretty good. Hello, Halle. We are comparing GPT-5 on Codex versus Claude Code on Opus and Sonnet. And we're doing the same project, so we're going to try to compare it. Okay, so Claude Code has started working on the plan. And since, I guess Codex with GPT-5 is already started. And so far the speed seems pretty good. Generate the base image, make the storyboard. Yeah, you should try out the ideogram character. I think it's pretty cool. Okay, so Codex is already starting to adding some code here. We are still working on the plan here on Claude Code. We are in plan mode still, so we're gonna switch from Opus 4.1 to Sonnet when we're gonna execute it. So the app we're gonna do is a character comic strip implementation. A character comic strip generator. Okay. So here's the plan from Claude. I'm just gonna accept that. I'm not gonna interfere. Okay. So both are running pretty smooth. So I kind of like that we can link our ChatGPT subscription to Codex. I think that's just better than having the API because then you don't have to worry so much about the cost. So we have the to-do list here in Codex 2. So we have done 1 out of 4 tasks. The back end, we're gonna do the front end. We're gonna do some proxy and cores and validation, documentation and run. Okay. Hello Sid. Yeah, Jamie, I know. But I wanted to try out the Codex because I've used OpenCode. So today it's asking me a question here. Would you like me to request permission to install dependencies? Okay. Yes. I'm not gonna put too much effort on speed today because I need to kind of go back and forward a bit. So it's gonna be result oriented, not speed. But so far GPT-5 seems pretty fast here, I will say. So Sid, we are just doing a comparison now with GPT-5 and Codex versus Claude and Opus Sonnet. So there is we have a PRD from Gemini 2.5 Pro Deep Think. It's gonna generate a character comic strip generator where people can upload images. So we're gonna compare them. My boss lost his uncommitted Git changes with Codex. Ouch. That has to hurt, right? Did he have much? Like, was it a lot? Okay, so we did install npm install. We ran a build. Okay. What did it? It just keeps asking me questions, but it's fine. I'm just gonna say yes. Lots of files, but nothing the AI can redo in a short time. Codex lost our trust though. Yeah, I can see that. To be honest, it would be a bad comparison as Claude Code, product-wise, pretty nice implemented. So in the end, it's rather OpenAI versus Claude, who knows their model better. Yeah, we're just gonna have to see. I just have to try it out anyway. So I guess this is just my attempt of comparing it. So how would you compare it then, Sid? Codex wants to run? Is there something I should do here or? I don't know. I'll give it some time. Maybe I have to stop it here. Maybe it's trying to... Okay, so it has a sleep here after... I'll give it some time. Just model specific would be use the API on OpenCode. It will be unified products and no bias of different products affecting our results. Yeah, but let's say I'm testing out. Click enter maybe. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Fabian. Yeah, that's true. But you could say I'm testing out both Codex and GPT-5 and Claude Code and Opus. But I don't disagree with you. So this failed. So it run dev. If you want, I can proceed starting them on your machine. Okay. The is already in.env. It's a bit more hands-on. It keeps asking me a lot of questions, but it's fine. I might spill my API key here, but I'm gonna revoke it. Doesn't matter too much. You can also interrupt with ESC like in Claude Code, okay? But the most important thing, Codex is open source, so it's a huge win on that part. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But so is Gemini CLI and OpenCode. But for me personally, if Claude Code is much better, but Codex is open source, I'm probably just gonna pick the best. I don't really care too much. Price could change that, of course. Is there a way to use different models from different providers via Claude Code? I think you can set up Open Router, to be honest. Haven't done it, but I think there is some kind of router you can set up, yes. From just a user's perspective, I really like, I got used to OpenCode. It's MIT, Max Plan from Anthropic. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Hello, push the model. How's Codex going so far? You only used it one and it was terrible. So far, seems fine. Keeps asking me a lot of questions though. Do you want me to? I don't understand what it's asking here. Pick what you think is best. I don't want my I don't want to interfere here. That was the whole point. Claude Code Router is also a project that makes this possible. How do you all feel about Klein? I think a lot of people has used Klein. Me personally haven't used it too much. Remember I said I need to do cursor for my professional work? Not anymore. You added an LSP to OpenCode and put the functions I need to an NCPs now. I can use OpenCode for that well. That's pretty cool. So JS is reaching his limit on 100 Pro. So you spent 450 this month. I spent a lot too. I'll check it out after. So far, Claude Code has been much more agentic. Codex keeps asking me questions almost every single thing here. I don't mind questions, but it is supposed to be like an agentic tool. It's really hard to, but there's probably a way to avoid this. So it says something like, if you like, I can share a version and pick what you think is best. Okay, so we have an OK on localhost 3.1. The backend is running. Start the front end. So we're gonna do a test on the API. Failed, okay. You didn't pass an authorization token. Check out the prompts from the documentation we had yesterday. Yeah, maybe. How much trade or difference do you feel? How much trade or difference do you feel about OpenCode with Claude models compared to Claude Code with Claude models? Maybe Edgar can answer that. OpenCode with Claude models versus Claude Code with Claude models. Hello, Arsoni. Yeah, JS, the new rate limits are just a couple of weeks away. That's gonna be interesting. GPT-5 does very much what you tell it to do, but you can tell it to make its own decisions more. Yeah, that was the idea behind the test here. I don't really want to interfere too much. No difference from OpenCode to Claude Code. Hey, 8F. We can check. So lately it's been pretty much. NPX CC usage monthly. Okay, so Claude Code finished first after starting last. So that's a plus, I guess, for Claude Code. So, okay, I spent a lot this month. So, in August so far, I spent $700 on Claude Code. So, yeah, this month it's been a lot. This weekend, I was working on a kind of big code base this weekend, and the tokens kept flying. But this is nothing compared to other people. JS, I'm on the 100. Does OpenCode allow custom slash commands? I know they have sub-agents. I don't know about hooks though, Edgar. Go to the daily view. Okay. So it was this weekend I spent a lot. Today, $20 yesterday, 30 on Saturday or Friday, 126. Yeah, that was the day I did that tool I was creating on the fork of OpenCode. I need to help Codex here. So, what is the issue here? The replicate. What is it asking about? Share of version slug. I don't understand this. I'm just gonna say okay. I don't understand what this means. No, this is not what I've been charged, of course. This is just, in case you didn't know, this is just like the theoretical cost if I was using the API. So I have saved in August. You can say I've saved $500 in August. Okay, so now I see what it means. I didn't think of that. We're not going to deploy it. We're just going to run it locally. Okay, so maybe that was my bad. So let's see now. So we need to... We have our backend and frontend. How did we set this up? So I guess we can create a simple how to use guide. Okay, so we got that here. That's pretty good. So we can do cd server npm install. Okay. cd client npm install. Okay. So let's do a new terminal. Let's do cd client npm run dev. Let's do the backend. cd server npm run dev. Okay, maybe there's an issue with there's maybe issue here. Let's see. For our other version, we're gonna do, okay, so let's see, we can do cd backend npm install, I guess. Did that work? Let's do cd frontend npm install. And is it see? Port in use. Okay. Kill port. So let's start with Claude Code here. Okay. So this is from, this was very bright. So this is the result from Claude Code. So this is the character comic strip generator. So we're gonna upload a reference image. We're gonna add our prompts. And we're gonna click on generate strip and it's gonna open up here. So who thinks this is gonna work 0 shot? I don't. So let's do Gemini. Generate a image of, generate a portrait image of a female in her 30s, black background, smiling. I don't know. Hello, Maple Dev. What a wonderful time to be coding. Yeah, I'm just gonna work out the things about the app, and then I'm gonna try to compare them. So let's just grab her. So this is gonna be our reference image. So we're gonna upload that. Whenever it gets downloaded. Okay, so it needs to be big, less than 1 megabyte. Okay. So I'm gonna alter that a bit. When I run into issues with Codex for debugging, I just tell it to run all the necessary commands to fix the problem, including installing requirements and running tests. Arsuni, have you been using Codex a lot? Do you like it? So I'm gonna pick the same reference image for both both apps. We might do smaller. Let's try that. Perfect. Okay. So what's the first panel's gonna be? The character walking in New York. The character gets approached by a eager squirrel, almost attacked. the final strip is gonna be the squirrel chasing the character down in Central Park. I have no idea. So, the squirrel. So I'm just gonna see if this is gonna work now. So I'm gonna watch the back end. Okay, so we failed here. I'm gonna see what the issue is. So we failed on the back end. We didn't pass a token here. The API, I guess. Okay. So let's give this error message to Claude Code and to resolve this. The API key is in our .env. While we wait for that, let's check out Codex. On Codex, I'm gonna do clear. So I'm gonna stop this. So let's do kill port 3001. Okay. Let's run it again. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about this. Dev. So this is the Codex version. At least UI is working. So I can upload our image. And let's do female walking down New York Street. Female gets attacked by a squirrel. Female gets chased in Central Park by a... I don't even know how you write that, squirrel. So let's see now. Okay, so we didn't get our error message. Let's check our backend here. I don't see anything. Our console log. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That was pretty quick. So far I would say Opus Codex did pretty well. Hello JS. So this was our first panel, female walking down the New York street. That was pretty good. Female gets attacked by a squirrel. Maybe the prompt wasn't maybe that precise, but she looks pretty good. And the final is female gets chased in Central Park by a squirrel. Okay. Not exactly, but pretty fun. So I guess the app worked first go, so that was pretty good by GPT-5 and Codex. I was happy with that. I'm just gonna... Let's try a different input image. Let's do... Who is chasing who? Yeah, that's the question. So I'm gonna do a different portrait image. Let's do a male in his 70s. So that was pretty good by Codex. We're gonna compare them side by side. So let's grab this. I need to make it a bit smaller here. Let me see how. Okay, it's fine. So I need to resize this, copy. Thanks for becoming a member, JS. Appreciate it. And welcome. So we are doing members giveaway each week now. So we're gonna give away a Claude Code Pro ChatGPT Plus subscription every week. I think it's gonna be every Friday. So at the end before the weekend, so people can try out the things on the weekend. So that's gonna be every Friday. That's the plan. So look out for that. Yeah, you can. I'm gonna post a video on YouTube. It's like a members video. You can find instructions there. So let's keep the same prompt, but let's just change it to male. And let's try a different input image. So let's try the guy and generate strip. While this is generating, let's check back here. I'm not gonna kill it now. Switch to 3000. We don't need the same port. So let's check out the strip here now. So now we're gonna take this input. The model is really good though. So we have him walking down the street. He gets attacked by a squirrel. And he gets chased by a squirrel. The character consistency is good, but the prompt maybe isn't the best. Let's try a different prompt. Older male is hacking FBI. Gets into a secure database. FBI raids his apartment. Black hoodie. See what happens. Okay, so we switch the port to 3000. That's good. So the character consistency is pretty impressive with this model, I gotta say. So here he is hacking. Okay. He gets into a secure database and he gets raided. Okay, so I didn't keep the black hoodie. Make a number of comic strip configurable. Yeah, we can iterate, but I'm just gonna have to wait till Claude Code is done. We can iterate, but I'm just gonna wait a bit. So let's do this. More text. Yeah, we can try that. I would just want to get Claude Code up and running before, so I can do a comparison. Then I can do the same. No, the prompt doesn't have the context of the previous image. I don't think so. But the character consistency is great, right? This was pretty bad though. You could set it up so we can keep the prompt from the previous input, right? Hello, Ibrahim. What model is this? This is the ideogram AI, ideogram character. I'm gonna do an MCP video, AI video. I'm gonna do an MCP AI video with this model someday this week. Because you can do crazy stuff with AI video using this model. It's pretty fun. So definitely check it out. Ideogram character. Yeah, it's pretty good. So let's do like a consistent scene. So is eating breakfast, wearing a nice suit, puts on a winter jacket, dark brown hoodie and beanie. And then you can do older male. We don't really need to say that. In a winter jacket, walking in 5 feet of snow, something like this. Okay, so let's see if we can run Claude code now. So this is Codex. I'm gonna stop the server here. Really? So let's run a backend. npm run dev. Okay. Kill port 3000. npm run dev. So I want to try the same input on Claude Code here. So let's grab the old man. Let's do the same inputs. It should be pretty similar though. Shouldn't be any big differences. But I just want to see if it works. Okay, it looks better now. So let's check out this. Older man is eating breakfast, wearing a nice suit. Older male puts on a winter jacket. He forgot the beanie here, but it is working in snow. Okay. Did you try animating those pictures using VO3? That is what I'm gonna do in the upcoming video. I'm gonna use this model. I'm gonna set up like scenes using this with the same character. I'm gonna animate them. I'm gonna build it into a MCP pipeline so everything is automated. I'm gonna do that soon. So now we have Claude Code working. It's pretty much the same app. So we don't see like any big differences. We got this, and yeah, it was pretty much the same. So I would say both models did a pretty good job. They follow the PRD pretty much exactly how we wanted it to be. We got the 3-panel comic strip on both, right? The input image gets nicely transferred from the input over to the... We turned it into base64 and a data URI and passed it onto the API with the 3 prompts at the same time. It's probably not async, it's probably sequential. I'm not quite sure though. It might be async. Because it was pretty quick. Tips for better prompts. The UI side I would give to Claude Code. This is a bit boring, but it works. UI is easier to use with Codex, I would say, more compact. Yeah, I guess it's just what you are used to. For me, I like Claude Code, but I'm biased, right? So, does anyone have any iterations on the app we can try? It's just some protein stuff I eat. I just came from the gym. So, does anyone have any iterations we can send to the models? Suggestions? Decorate. This is not. This is the ideogram. I don't know if you got it. From Ideogram AI. It's a really cool image model. Just can imagine giving up Claude Code as the main driver. Yeah, I have a real time giving it up. So I'm gonna decorate a video on this probably later this week, probably Friday. No, I meant this result. Claude Code is of course way better than Codex to use. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, I guess I prefer that. Does Replicate still give a $10 credit? If so, drop your link. I'm not quite sure. Claude Code is great at app architecture, but weak in domain expertise. Codex is the opposite, strong in domain, but weaker in architecture. The best approach is to combine both. Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't have any moat in AI at the moment. You should avoid being locked into something, because I would say that's pretty stupid, because everything can change, right? So if you lock yourself into something, I wouldn't even buy like a year subscription. I'm not gonna buy a yearly subscription on Claude Code, because things can change, right? Added a Google Drive link with the images. Okay, I'll check it out. I've been using Claude Code to execute and ChatGPT Pro account to serve as the research and development supervisor agent for Claude Code. Yeah, someone else yesterday had the same approach. They used GPT-5 Pro to do a plan and stuff. And Claude Code to execute. Likely switching to Gemini when 3 drops. Yeah, that might be it. Maybe everyone is going over to Gemini CLI, or they are using open code with Gemini 3, who knows? In like a month, maybe everyone is over there. It's been a while since we checked out Polymarket now, so if you go to Tech, AI, best model in August, so now it's 93% chance that Google is gonna have the best model by the end of the month. So something happened here. I'm not quite sure. I think they teased Gemini 3 or something. Mugahid bought a year's sub back when I had a deal. Okay, so if you had it for a while, you probably have gotten some value out of it. But I wouldn't do it now. Who gets to decide which model is best? Yeah, this is just a prediction market, but they have some rules. So it's based off on the chatbot arena leaderboard. So is it best for coding? Maybe not. I don't think so. It's just overall. They have to pick something. Yearly subscription is dangerous. I would avoid that at least. Yeah, I agree. That's my opinion, I guess. Gemini is half off for Ultra, so I figured good time to get it before Gemini 3. Yeah, I had Ultra for 3 months. Basically because VO3. No, I agree, Edgar. There's no best model. You can base it on that. Ella Marina, I flawed. Yeah, I agree. I don't really, but they have to pick something, right? Better model and GPT-5 will be very huge. Looking forward to something great from Google. Yeah. So I've been kind of paying a bit attention on Reddit. And I was hoping there would be more pressure on Anthropic to lower their prices. But I haven't seen like a big mass exodus from Claude and Claude Code and Opus, Sonnet to GPT-5. So as long as there's not gonna be like a mass exodus from Claude models to GPT-5, they're probably not gonna lower their price. So let's hope for Gemini. Gemini is gonna push Anthropic a bit more, so we can get some cheaper prices. If Gemini can create some mass exodus from Claude Code, they probably have to lower their prices. OpenAI introduced some new paradigms. Hope Google does the same. Yeah. Is Gemini 3 Deep Think? Is it really Gemini 3 Deep Think versus GPT-5 Pro? Yeah. But you can't use GPT-5 Pro for coding, right? It's just way too slow, isn't it? Claude Code with a PS5 controller. That sounds awesome. Sit in my sofa and using Claude Code with a controller. That's a cool project. Okay, so we need to iterate on the app. Hello, Pavel. Nice to see you. What have you been up to lately, Pavel? So we're gonna do some iterations here on the app. If anyone had any suggestions for iterations, okay, gonna have to think a bit. It's too fresh with Codex and stuff. I don't think Anthropic will lower prices, but maybe new models soon. Yeah, we'll see. Way too slow to code with, but to make markdown files is key. Yeah, I think doing like a great plan with, let's say, GPT-5 Pro or Gemini Deep Think is superb. Because like I use Opus to do the plan and Sonnet to execute. It's much easier to execute instructions than coming up with a good plan. Powell has just finished his series of calls from your project, privately adding some custom slash commands to Codex and OpenCode. Cool. But the latter's team is working on their solution and should land this week. Nice. Yeah, we've been trying out Codex today with GPT-5. We made the same PRD from... so we had Gemini create a PRD for us. we had the same project. So this was the result from GPT-5 and Codex. Worked out of the box, so that was a one-shot. That was pretty good, impressive. Claude Code had a bit better UI, worked pretty much the same. Had some small issues with authentications or the API, but I basically think maybe it was my fault. So I would say they were pretty neck and neck here in my small test. But I'm gonna try an iteration. I just have to think of something. Yeah, I don't think I want to do video now. We can chain this. Okay, so I have a suggestion. So I'm gonna do a compact here. Keep what we need for a iteration. Can we do compact on yeah, Codex? So I think the iteration is gonna be the user can pick one image, and this is the new reference image. So when the user picks an image, we can continue on this reference image. That is gonna be the iteration. You can tell them to make a number of images configurable. Yeah, almost something like that. But that is pretty easy. That's very easy. But I think I'm gonna do what I said. So the user can pick, let's say panel 2. This is gonna be the new reference image. And when the user picks this, the prompts are kind of reset and it's moved up here. And we can continue. Do I have Whisper? Okay, so we need to do some iterations. So what we're gonna do is that the user now can pick one image from the 3 panels. So you need to add a button under each panel. If the user selects that image, this is gonna work as the new reference image. So when a user clicks select this image as new reference, we're gonna move that to reference and everything else should kind of reset. So we can continue using that image as a new reference image. So I'm gonna send that to both. Working on automating your coding workflow using Claude Code. Cool. Main driver plus hooks plus sub-agents and local LLMs to offset cost. Prompt code in a loop and run quality checks and code review. Cool. Sounds like a good plan, Decory. GPT-5 is the first model that feels like I'm talking to a legit genius. It's been working on your very large project and never really has any issues. That's cool, Aaron. Happy to hear that. Anthropic offers Claude via Amazon Bedrock and Google Vertex AI without its own infrastructure. Prices remain tied to these cloud providers. Yeah. But I guess, yeah, I see what you mean. But they must have some margin to go on, right? I should have used maybe plan mode here, but okay. So it's gonna be Sonnet versus GPT-5 here. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I hope so. So OpenAI is of course running on the Microsoft data centers, I guess. And Google has their own TPUs. Meta probably. I never use Meta, but okay, so Codex says it has made changes. So let's head over to Codex. We can restart at least the backend, I guess. And we might as well restart the front end. So let's check out Codex's iteration here. So of course we need to create this. I'm just gonna wait for OpenAI, now Claude Code. Okay, so it should be good to go. So let's restart Claude Code. So let's stop the front end. Let's stop the... I don't know why we can't force this. It's very annoying. Let's do cd backend npm run dev. Again, kill. Okay, that's good. And let's do npm run dev. So let's try this now. So we have from Codex, we have Claude Code. So we're gonna upload the same image. Let's use the girl again. So I'm just gonna come up with some prompts here. What is the verdict, says Davidas. So far I think it's pretty even. Maybe the challenge wasn't hard enough. I would give the UI to Claude Code, but that's just like by a margin. The speed, I think Codex was a bit faster. And Claude Code had some small auth issues, like API issues, but that was basically pretty much my fault. Why would they lower their price? So I was talking about like if Gemini can put some pressure and you see like a mass exodus from Claude, then they probably have to do something. JK, hello. Codex is nice. I've been using it with your Plus subscription. Yeah, I'm trying it out now. Seems pretty good. Old backend was still running in the Claude Code version. Didn't I restart it? I think I did. Davidas, you went to your API, check limits, and I discovered that they have reset your credit. Okay. You have donated them 250. That's annoying. I know they do credit resets. That shouldn't be allowed, right? Okay, I'll check, Fabian. Do you mean the front end or the back end? So we are running the backend now on port 3000. Let's check. Codex is running on 3001. Is that what you mean? Front end? Yeah, I don't think that matters, does it? Because this was busy. 5174. This is now switched to 75. I think it's fine. Yeah, they expire after a year. That's pretty... I think that's a bad business practice, right? That's annoying. I'm gonna ask Google 2.5 Pro Deep Think to come up with generate 3 prompts, aka 1 for each panel, that challenge us the app to keep the consistency but still makes sense. By the end of the year, if we can make a detailed markdown file and pass it off to a fully agentic coding system, knowing it will be executed correctly, everything goes vertical from devs. Maybe. Interesting. Yeah, they shouldn't expire. I agree. I wanted to try animated we will get this community there sooner. Yeah, I hope so. There's a lot of people here that has a lot of good knowledge. So I think that's pretty cool. Just gotta find the best way to share it. It's not that easy. Isn't that exactly Transformers? For me, each markdown file is about 4 hours of work. Wow. So getting Claude Code Wire up with the LLMs to create the agentic system, but you need the right prompts and scaffolding to make it reliable. Yeah. Since I don't work in like big serious projects. I don't have any like big serious projects, so it's a bit out of my league. So I can't really comment a lot on that, but I believe you guys if that's the case. Okay, so let's do this. So we're gonna follow these instructions. I'm gonna change up the input image here. I'm gonna do the... I'm gonna try both actually. This was a bit strange. We can try it out. Let's try it out with the woman first. So the idea now, the iteration was that we first gonna generate a panel of 3 images. So let's run that. Then we were able to pick one of the panels and set them to the new next reference image. That was what we're trying to do. So let's see if we can succeed with that. So the first input image was the character looking worried, biting her lip. That was pretty good. Second one was a comic rendered in the style of a Jack Kirby comic book. Characters yelling and leaping over a fireball in a destroyed street. Okay, pretty good. The third one was Studio Ghibli style watercolor painting. I'm super impressed by this image model. And we have the button, select this image as the new reference. Pretty good. Let's check out Claude code. So she's biting her lip. We have this Jack Kirby style and the same Studio Ghibli. So I'm gonna select this as new reference. Did it work? I need to check the backend. Doesn't look like anything happened. Okay. Don't think that worked. Let's try this one. Okay, so that did work. So here I would say Codex did a better job. Let's try and see if it works. So that's pretty interesting. So definitely I want to give the iteration to Codex here if this works now. If we can use this now as the new reference image. I guess we did. Yeah. So if we pick this one now, we run the same. So I would say that if that works, the iteration should be better here on the Codex GPT-5 version of the app. So I'm not gonna even bother doing debugging here. Yeah, it's definitely working. We have this as a reference. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty impressive. That's a good app. Let's see if I find an image of me here. Just gonna wait for this. As expected. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, I have enjoyed Codex so far. I'm gonna try it out more. Since I already have the subscription, I might as well, right? So this is me. Look at this. So this was my input image. This is me as a professional Pokemon catcher. I'm out here, I don't know what I'm doing, holding some kind of camera. And maybe this wasn't the best. It doesn't really have my hair color. And this was a bit strange maybe. But this was pretty good. This kind of looks like me. As a professional Pokemon player. Catcher. Hello, Jacko. How are you? Yeah, Hunted, that's no problem. You got it, right? Game controller. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've been using PayPal for the giveaways, and a lot of people want stable coins too, so that's super easy to just use cryptocurrency. I kind of prefer PayPal or cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is cheaper because yeah, I don't have to pay a fee here. So this is me as a Pokemon catcher. Here I am as a UFC fighter. And here I am as a mountaineer. This is a cool model. I'm definitely gonna try it out. So what if I do an app that has a webcam that can screenshot the user, pick that as the reference image, and you can generate like in different situations? That could be pretty cool. Bus cut. Yeah, I can try that with Codex, but I kind of want to use MCPs for that. Does anyone have any like good experience with MCPs in here? Does it even have support for that? We need MCPs though. Does it have a help? Maybe not. It does? Yeah, we'll need MCPs for that. This model is so good. This looks exactly like me. Maybe not that, but this does. Okay, so the config, okay. So Edgar said he has some files here. I'm a bit worried about. Okay. So it's some animation files. Yeah, I'm gonna check it on the other desktop just to be sure. Ah, okay, so it's like animated. I see what you mean. Pretty good. I can play that.
System online. How can I assist you today? Processing your request. Information found. Task completed successfully. System online. How can I assist you today? Processing your request. Information found. Task completed successfully. Here's how I can help within boundaries.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Did you use the? Did you use? I totally forgot the ideogram. Did you use this? Ideogram, or is this another model? Ideogram. Oh, so it's GPT-1, okay. Yeah, I've used GPT-1. But I gotta say, I think ideogram seems better. To be honest. Seems a bit better. The one thing about GPT-1, it's so slow. It takes forever. It's so slow. So I don't really like using it too much. It's good, but it's so slow. Haven't tried it too much with text. But the ideogram is like a character model. More like character consistency model. It doesn't really have so much to do with text, I think. But we can try. Yeah, I don't even know how to try it. Playground. Add the text model behind her. Okay. So let's see. It does text, but let's see. Haven't tried it with text before. Yeah, this looks pretty good with text. I like that it's it's like this blurry effect, right? So we kind of get this, it's kind of blurry in the background. That's pretty cool. It's really impressive. Let's see if it changes to 1990s. What the difference is gonna be. Yeah, I can do that. Hello, DoWeb. What's up? What is up? So now it changed into 1990s. Still pretty clear though. What did it hold a sign? Holding a sign. AI. I need a job. AI took mine. Okay, let's try that. What the hell happened here? Ah, I can't do cinematic, maybe. What's up, DoWeb? Ah, that's pretty good, Edgar, right? She looks sad too. I don't think you can do it better than this. Yeah, I would say, to be honest, I think this model is better than GPT-1. It's much faster. And it's just gonna be better. Look at her finger over the... Look how good it is. It's kind of covered the letters here. That's very impressive. to get this detail right. Yeah, this is a great model. It's probably my favorite model at the moment for images. Yeah, Zulu is pretty. We can do 1970s, right? Film grain. It's really good at instruction following. Yeah, you should be sold. It's really good. I would recommend it. The instruction following is crazy. It's really good. But let's do... It is very adherent, so we can probably turn it down a bit. Style type. I guess we can't do that. Can we? Well, it's pretty good though. Davidas, this is the ideogram character. I run it on replicate for the API. Yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff you can do here. But yeah, gotta say I enjoyed Codex. Pretty cool. Definitely gonna use it more. Try it out. See what I can do with it. Since I kind of already have I have the Plus subscription, I might as well use it on Codex for some things. Alongside with Claude Code. Could try to make it work in the same directory. It's gonna be messy though. Yeah, this is pretty good. This failed very hard. What the hell happened here? Vexstek. So I think the final thing I want to do today is watch this video from Matt. I think he got some good takes. I did watch the Indie DevDan video this morning, and it was really cool. I recommend it. Okay. Yeah, this is really good. Very impressed. So I'm gonna watch that video from Matt. So I just need to... So he's gonna see, can GPT-5 keep up with Claude Code? His full test. So I just need to... I want to grab my headphones. Wherever they are. I'm not quite sure. So I'm gonna grab my headphones. And I thought I can watch this. But Yeah, before I watch this video, I'll be right back. Just gonna grab something. Okay, so I'm gonna test out the sound. So please let me know if it's too loud. Need to link Codex and Claude Code, maybe through GitHub, and use the markdown files as context method of communication with one other. Yeah, this is something I want to explore a bit more. I have done like a parallel CLI workflow before, and it worked pretty good. I had one working on the front end, one on the back end, the same PRD. It did work though, so it is possible. Is it efficient? I'm not sure. But I'm gonna play this video now, and just let me know if we need to turn the volume up or down. I think I might... You saw the write-up from Manus using files as context. I don't think so. I might check it out later. So let me know how the sound is.
Is GPT-5 better than Claude Code? That's today's question, but you'll be surprised that it's not as easy to answer as you might think. This was the hot mess I got yesterday when I used GPT-5 with this application in Cursor. So let's see if today goes any better. By the end of this video, you'll know which model's more reliable, which one surprises with creativity, but most importantly, how to get the best results for yourself. But first, let's take a look at what we're building to give you the context. I did this yesterday in a previous video where I was just using Sonnet and GPT-5 in Cursor. And if you don't understand the nuances, that's okay, but that previous video... Is GPT-5 better than Claude Code? That's today's question.
Yeah, hopefully it's good now. So is GPT-5 better? Yeah, we'll see what he thinks. I guess it's his.
But you'll be surprised that it's not as easy to answer as you might think. This was the hot mess I got yesterday when I used GPT-5 with this application in Cursor. So let's see if today goes any better. By the end of this video, you'll know which model's more reliable, which one surprises with creativity, but most importantly, how to get the best results for yourself. But first, let's take a look at what we're building to give you the context. I did this yesterday in a previous video where I was just using Sonnet and GPT-5 in Cursor. And if you don't understand the nuances, that's okay, but that previous video covers a lot of ground in more depth. I highly advise looking at that one. This time, what we're doing is we're using those models' kind of native IDEs. We'll be using Claude Code for Sonnet and Opus, and we'll be using Codex CLI for the...
That is exactly what we did today. To be honest, I didn't know that he has done that. I haven't watched this video. Sounds sketchy, but it's true. But I guess it's a standard way to do this, right? You don't want to test it in Cursor. You kind of want to test it in... since Codex is created for GPT-5, Claude Code it's created for Anthropic or Claude.
OpenAI GPT-5 model. Is GPT-5 better than something like Sonnet or Opus from Anthropic? Today, we're going to find out. But first, let me walk you through a few of the documents. The initial build, what we're showing here, is a PRD that I shared, and I will not go through this again.
Thanks for that, Edgar. I'm gonna move the camera. Yeah, that's true. I don't wanna be exactly over where he is. We can just do this.
Previous video, this is kind of a what the application should be. The major elements inside of the application. It does not go into design. It's really the high-level use cases that you want from the system. That's what this PRD is doing. I'm also sharing an architecture document. Really defines some of the naming and theming that I use in a lot of my systems, but this will also help us really clearly identify when the models are diverging from the request. Both of these documents were sent in to all of the models. So every model got exactly the same prompt to get started and kicked off. And what we're about to see is what they came back with after the first response from these inputs. I say, let's dive in and take a look at what they returned after getting these two documents. Okay, first impression.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. That's basically what I did. I guess he had some more information around the architecture stuff. That's pretty smart too. But you don't want to give it like directions how to design stuff. Basically, I think you just want to give it to the model to find the best way.
Really matter, and I will say Sonnet almost never fails on first impressions. It does a very good job. It's a very creative model, making up quite a few things. Maybe that's good or bad in certain circumstances, but again, what I'll show you here is we have a left to right Sonnet, and then the Opus results, and then GPT-5 is the last one that we have here. Now, GPT-5 massively outperforms the last time that we built this yesterday in Cursor, so this is kind of a fantastic find.
That looks good. The GPT-5 UI here is superb.
Frankly, very interesting that Codex CLI turned this out and Cursor turned out what we're about to see, but it's worth saying these are probabilistic. Maybe I could have run it 3 different times in Cursor and gotten this one of those 3 times. So I'm not going to put too much weight in this, but this first impression from GPT-5 is great. In fact, I'd go so far as to say, I don't know if it won this round, but it definitely is in the pack this time. And last time I was ready to throw it away. So let's take a very brief look at what it was like last time. Okay, so from GPT-5, what we're seeing is yesterday's video 1 findings are over here. This was after initial build at exactly the same point as we are today. Probabilistic, I'm still going to call that out here, but definitely dramatically different. I will say that I did move into this a little bit in that video, or when I was running those experiments, to try to get it to clean up a little bit for some of this, but it really stuck to this database design kind of interface. It was pretty terrible, and it stuck with that. So unless I was very explicitly telling it what to change, it was not going to change it. And what we find this time is it has a good starting point, and it kind of sticks to that throughout the system build. That's kind of an interesting finding. If we look down really briefly at Sonnet, again, yesterday's video and today's video, what we're seeing from a Sonnet standpoint is...
Yeah, it looks pretty much the same. It's done a few things different, right?
It found a couple of things that it missed yesterday, like it found that there were actions that needed to be taken on these different tiles. So it's interesting that it found those details, and then yesterday it did not find those details.
Yeah, that's a good point, Arsoni. Great app architecture, weak domain expertise. Codex is the opposite, strong in domain, but weaker in architecture. You might be right. I haven't tried it out enough to know.
That's kind of interesting. But it's worth also saying, if we come back to Sonnet, and it did a pretty good job, again, it created its own little tile to do these things. But if we try to go into Superman, as I click, nothing happens. It missed half the application. This was not just some kind of linkage that it missed. This does not exist in the project. So half of the information that I described inside of that initial PRD, it just didn't do. It just left it on the floor. And that's kind of starkly telling. That's a very important detail. Opus did not have this problem. Opus made a detail page for us and put a
But did he use... Okay, so I guess he didn't put in the PRD, the architecture, and run the plan mode from Opus, and then send it to Sonnet. He probably just put in the PRD, the architecture plan on Sonnet from beginning till end, did the same with Opus and probably the same with GPT-5.
Fair number of the features that I was asking for on that detail page, so it did a good job. And GPT-5, if we look at the same, also created a detail page, but had some problems. It is worth saying all three of these, none of them stood up from ground zero. The moment they were born and I launched them, all of them had this kind of problem for me to have to address so that I could actually see what they had built. They just had errors. It's not uncommon to have these kinds of copy and paste errors, but it was surprising that all three of the models ended up having very different but problematic errors that wouldn't let me see it at the beginning start. The initial build is only so much. What if I gave it a very explicit PRD to build from just for the detail page? The information that I gave it was information about the show detail page, just the detail page, nothing else. So I wanted to keep the kind of blast radius very small, but be very explicit about what we wanted. There should be a large banner, 16:9, dark gradient overlay to have text legibility. There's a movie title that's a certain size. So I started getting rather prescriptive this time, saying, if I give you this much information, will you build this more conformantly than you did last time? Really important detail.
Okay, so now it's gonna give like precise instructions, right? So then you can kind of check if every single instructions was followed in from the PRD.
We're really saying is, can you do it with words only? And at the end, you'll see that I'm going to use images. We're going to use some of the screenshots that are in here. You'll see one right here, which is the detailed screenshot. It's kind of a mock-up of what we might want to build. I give this to the model at the end. Using this, can you build what we're trying to do? Does that help you? Okay, let's begin again at Sonnet and take a look. This is,
I would say, as much context as possible is always better. Or maybe not always, but high signal context at least.
Is after giving that PRD in and saying, please go build all of this explicitly. When we go into the details, we now have a detail page, which is great. It does have some challenges. It doesn't have a dark overlay. It's using its white page background. It is full bleed, as I was asking for, which really means edge to edge I'm using for this hero section. But I will say there's a little bit of crunchiness to some of the stuff at the top, but you can see that it found the cast circle avatars. That was described very clearly. The where to watch kind of streaming action.
Yeah, I agree, Edgar. So, hello, Jeffrey. Nice to see you. So the context, like I think about context, like as much high signal as possible, and leave out all the noise, right? So you don't really want to poison your context with like a... So that's why sometimes when you scrape a website into your context, it kind of messes up things, because you get sometimes the full HTML, like the full DOM or something, and you basically all you're looking for is like the high signal, and that's just gonna mess up your context. So I'm doing a project on some FPL, Football League Fantasy Manager with AI. There I'm really specific about the high signal context.
Buttons that you would be able to go and find a place to stream it. That's called out very explicitly. The order of these items was called out very explicitly, so it conformed quite well. I did say that I wanted a specific type of tile, and it didn't quite conform to that. Okay, coming over to Opus, you can see I think Opus did a very good job, light years better than yesterday. So this again is Claude Code with Opus. Claude Code with Opus comparatively much better. I also will say that it's very conformant down toward the bottom. Let's look at GPT-5, which is really light years away from what happened yesterday, which looked like a database application almost the whole way through. But again, we're giving a PRD to these. This is not what we did yesterday. The reason I decided to add it today is it felt like GPT-5 was leaning toward being very explicit. When you spoke to it in a very explicit way, it seemed to conform quite well to the instructions. And GPT-5 maybe has a pattern of, if you tell it explicitly what you want, it does better. And this, I believe, is my first finding in that regard. I gave it...
Yeah, I think they tried to make it very good at instruction following. I think that OpenAI's aim was to make it really good at its instruction following, and yeah, I think so far I think they're good. But that can be like we talked about yesterday. It could be like a not a negative thing, but it could kind of hurt your old ways of doing things. If you were a bit sloppy on the instruction, you could kind of get away with it. But if the model is doing exactly what you tell it to do, it could be a bit difficult sometimes. It kind of doesn't read between the lines, right? Big on context, shared philosophy and logic of the approach and reasoning from your human perspective. Share your wisdom and enjoy better results. Yeah, voice to prompt is good. What I do is to create a markdown file, or your project information is recorded, include modifications. It's a way to build contextual memory from future discussions. Yeah, I would say as long as it's relevant and high signal, it's pretty good.
Very explicit instructions, and I think that it did not hit the mark perfectly. It missed a fair number of items here, frankly. As you can tell, it's still leaning back into its database roots, so it's not great. Comparatively, it is night and day. But okay, as I mentioned, let's take a look at how conformant they were in a place that it really matters when you start saying which one's the better coding model. It's not all UI. We've been looking at a lot of UI, and I spend a lot of time looking at all of the code itself. So let's just do a little bit of that and see if we can compare and figure out, have things changed from the first video? Okay, here's where clean architecture and conformance really starts to separate these models as coding models, and it's worth really paying attention to some of this because this, frankly, is the one step that can really save you going forward. If you recall, when we gave the first PRD, we said, here's how we want to lay things out. Here's the naming structure. Here's the separation. It's very explicit in there, let me tell you. Looking at Sonnet, it did not conform even at the top level. I, at this point, have gone in and said, hey, go to the detail page, so this whole directory, and refactor all of it. This is the second time. This is not the original initial build. We're not looking at that one. I have explicitly come back and said, go to the show detail page. In that folder, I want you to refactor everything, paying very close attention to our naming, structure, and separation rules. And those separation rules are the ones that we're going to explicitly look at. Sonnet went through, still has pretty clean code. In here, it's actually separated, but what it didn't do is if you look at the rest of this code line, it's got areas where it's got showing an error or no results. It's got a loading panel up here. All of these could be separated very easily. And worse, I will say it's got all of its handlers up here, some loading mechanisms that it's dealing with. And all of this should have been separated so that it's an easier thing to puzzle about what the show detail content itself is doing. Let me show you Opus, who did do exactly that. So if we take a look.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So for me, that hasn't used Opus too much because I always run into rate limits. I think this is nice to know, right? So basically what it's saying is that it did get a better result on this, at least with Opus.
Look at their page, and we start at the top and go to the bottom. It is only 52 lines long, and there's a lot of double spacing in here, so great work to Opus that they really not only broke apart, just like we just saw, but they also separated the different things into hooks or utilities or some other mechanism that is a controlled unit that you would be able to test. If you break that out, that controlled unit or element, you can actually go and test. It's useful in 100 ways. I would say go look at the last video. I won't kill it here, but it's much more useful to separate your code into these more isolated component elements rather than seeing them here in the page. So this did a great job. I will then very quickly jump over and say, similarly, in GPT-5 does a great job. It's much shorter, 27 lines, but I think largely because it doesn't have the double spacing, it's ostensibly doing the same kind of work. I think this one is clean. Both of them followed and conformed very well. Opus being a
okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, interesting.
Really big model, even compared to GPT-5, to be fair. However, if we go just one level deeper and we jump into one of the features here, if we wanted to go look at the cast section and said, okay, did it continue down the stream as it was creating this separation? Did it then go inside of each one of those objects and separate appropriately? There's some work here to kind of deal with the response information that's coming back, to be able to deal with caching mechanisms and things like that. This is all on this page. Feels like a concern that should have been tucked away into a hook or some other methodologies, but then you'll start seeing things that we saw in Sonnet. The loading panel is sitting here. However, the one thing that is, to me, an enormous transgression is you'll see these colors. I'm very explicit in my document that I don't want colors in any kind of stylistic information, any what we call magic numbers that are laying around inside of the application, because it gets very difficult. If I said, oh, I want that green to be a little bit darker, the system has to go find everything in every scenario where that green exists, and that gets really tricky. You want a single source for a lot of these things. And so I have said, make sure that you put that up into a style.
I think it's gonna be a while before. I guess this was a one-shot. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be quite a while before you can one-shot like a full detailed PRD. It's gonna surprise me if it gets every single thing correct the first time. It might be in some time, but I'm not expecting that yet. Are you guys? Do you expect that? You watched this video earlier. Okay, it seems pretty interesting, at least for me. CSS variables is the way to go. Cool collocation. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, at least I don't expect everything. I feel that's just way too early. The models are not going to do that yet.
System, and it does have a style system to do that. Sonnet did that quite well. So even in the areas where it is describing things like this foreground color here, it doesn't have text white, for example. That's our foreground or our background color, whatever it might be. But if you come over to GPT-5 and go into the same Castro object, and you could say, yep, they have tucked away any concerns, so they're only passing in what's needed here. It doesn't have any of that other caching and everything else concern, which is great. However, in here and throughout what they've done, you can see that how they're doing their colors is using some kind of CSS variable situation. So I know this gets kind of nerdy, but it's worth saying GPT-5 consistently conforms better to my instructions for the engineering practices. That's across the board. It's worth understanding that that's a difference, but this is definitely a clear finding. And I found this through all of my tests for this project. But as impressive as it is on engineering, one last challenge, and this is the big one. Can we give these things screenshots to design from and come out with a better application? Let's take a look this time.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I don't know about you guys, but I get GPT-5 to check Claude Code's work 2 to 3 times per patch. I never assume they're one-shotting. Yeah, I don't get why everything has to be one-shotted. Like, that would be like the dream, but this seems very strange. If you add design rules for your code and add a sub-agent to lay out a plan for each individual component before implementing with the main agent, most of LLM issues is not implementing stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I just think if you have too high expectations, if you think everything is gonna be one-shotted, debugging is like a big part of using agentic coding. I think it's gonna be for a long while.
Like the previous video, instead of just sending in cold screenshots, I decided to also create a PRD. I have included that. Once again, you can go look at the repo itself to understand what I sent in with it, but I go so far as to even call out that there's an accent color. It's even defined in this PRD saying this is the accent color. Use circular badges for the ratings on the tiles. So I go into a little bit of depth, both for the discover or home page and then the detail page. And so I've sent, in this request, I've sent both screenshots. This is one of them, the detail that we've seen previously. And this is the front page, essentially. And you can see that there's 3 different tile designs that we're working with, 3 sizes, 2 tile designs, and a carousel on the front page. All of that's described very well in that PRD. So let's take a look at how these did and see who did best.
Yeah, I like this. I think this is cool. I use screenshots a lot, like additional context. I think it's pretty good. Micro steps is the key. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. Small patches, quality checks, use a lot of Git version control. When I do, like, let's say I worked on my tool, my AI red teaming tool, I use version control like crazy. Before every single update, I try to do version control because it's so annoying when, let's say, Sonnet messes up everything you had worked on. So I'm very, I try to do that, at least. Hello, Will. He can't expect an agentic coder to code like he does. If he wants done in a certain way, he should set it up first. All the zero shots approaches are basically useless. Yeah, I agree. Even if your agent does several steps, it's also illogical. If you give a human one PRD and let them work without checking back and educating beforehand. Yeah, and I just feel like all of these small details here, like, it's just gonna get lost in context. Like, you're not gonna get every single detail here. Maybe if it started with 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, step by step, maybe. But if all of this is getting into the prompt, and it's not gonna happen, I think. But we'll see. Let's see. If you're not building the Iron Man suit or agentic system that you drop these models into, there's no way to leverage them anymore. Agents now, not LLMs. You have to have an OS. You can do it with one shot, full approval, add in the prompt to execute all necessary commands and test your projects. Normally at the end you get the results in a single run. Yeah, but you're not gonna get... I don't know if you saw this detailed PRD here. It's just so detailed. If you expect every single thing here to be on point, that just seems ridiculous. But let's see. Maybe he figured it out.
Do you have a guess? And GPT-5 has a good, strong image here at the top. Interestingly, it conforms to the width, so it's kind of a responsive image expression. So really, from a design standpoint, you'd like for it to have a max height that it kind of stops at doing this. It does have a carousel at the top that you can click through. Not entirely obvious, does not have buttons at the bottom to travel with. That's fine. It does have the toggle between using popular information and trending information. I wanted to show you one here, which is their add to list button does not work. So it looks like it's got a drop menu next to it and will do something if you click on it. It doesn't. As we scroll down, found the different tile type. I'm impressed with this. And you'll see that it has different size tiles, keeps the circle that we're looking for. So this is all really nice and strong. I would say this is a pretty good entrance into the changes that we were looking for. Let's go back to Opus and take a look at Opus. Opus hit one thing and it's the only one that hit it, which is this carousel is auto progressing. It doesn't quite work perfectly, but at least it is moving through the different images on this strand on popular.
Looks good.
It has this button that I can click and it'll go to trending or popular. Interesting way to do a toggle. These buttons do not work. So nothing else on this carousel works. You can't click on the buttons at the bottom. So typical carousel actions, it didn't quite hit. And then add to list is inactive as well, doesn't do anything. There is a rule that when you add it to a list, you should be able to select what list to add it to or how excited you are about it.
It just seems too much to ask for in one shot. Like, from my experience, that's just never gonna work. But it's interesting to see how much of it was implemented, I guess. I guess as the models get better, zero shot will be the only expectation in 2030. 2030 maybe, yeah. Now, probably not. At least I'm not expecting one shots for this complex instructions.
I would say Opus kind of did rather poorly on some of this. I'll call out that they are the only ones that got the logo right. They're the only ones that basically got the entire header right, and that was only from image. Their full bleed is very strong. So they did some really good stuff, but they also really didn't do some stuff. Let's take a look at Sonnet, and then Sonnet basically has this same thing. So they have it, but it doesn't do anything. They have this add to list button, and when I click their add to list, you can't quite see it because it's clipped by this top image, but they do have the idea of you being able to select and add it to different. They're the only ones that hit that mark. You can also move around in the shows. Excellent. You can click the dots as you'd expect. It doesn't auto progress, but I didn't ask for that. So they really hit the mark best maybe on the carousel itself.
That's pretty funny. First it was Opus was best, then was GPT-5, Sonnet was horrible, now Sonnet is the best, and Opus, and then GPT-5. So, of course, there's a lot of like non-deterministic based on chance here. Of course, sometimes a model can overperform, sometimes underperform. I guess some people kind of don't think about that sometimes. You could get really lucky and made your dream app in one shot. Everything lines up perfect. All the statistical picks by the attention model is gonna be perfect, since it's non-deterministic, right? Everything could happen. So you could get really lucky and get a perfect app the first time. I bet the models will one-shot most things by the end of this year. I don't think so.
And I think the way that they've bolded their fonts and kind of built this UI to some degree is maybe the strongest expression. Also, their first section of tiles is maybe the strongest example of these tiles also. So I thought this was a very impressive. I'd be happy to use this system. So really, Sonnet gets strongest marks, frankly. But this is what I was talking about. These Anthropic models very often will start making some of their own decisions, even though they're not out-of-the-box ridiculous decisions that make it feel more like typical systems that you would have seen and used. So I think that's what we're seeing here. We're also seeing a progression of tile sizes, which is excellent. So I think they hit a lot of the marks. Starting at Sonnet, let's look at the detail pages. The detail pages are...
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, with the detail instruction he has, I don't know if people can chime in on this, like, add this explicitly font or something like to exactly this button. In the, like, attention of the LLM, isn't that gonna be, like, really close? So let's say Courier Serif is gonna be really close to, yeah, some kind of other font. And sometimes it picks that font, like it's maybe 44% versus 42% chance to pick that text or that token. So the token prediction could get really close if the details are very specific. So you don't get the same every single time, right? I don't know if people know what I mean. I would bet if I give 5 developers the same PRD, none of them will have the details in their first attempt. Yeah, and there's like small changes. Like if you think about the token prediction in the attention, like in the model, if the details is so specific, the token it has to pick could be really close. So sometimes it's what you're looking for, sometimes it's not.
A bit more complex, frankly. They had started, if you recall, we've already given it a PRD to get it pretty close, and this was a follow-up to that to try to help guide them into the final design that we were really looking for. So this might be considered as the same PRD going in a second time. It's not quite, but it's somewhat similar. They used the circle graphic that we had on the tiles, which is a nice callback to that. I think that that's a nice tie-in. Again, this is Sonnet. Then it has the user score and the critic score, which is very nice. They all have the watch trailer mechanism. They have the budget.
Yeah, I agree, Fabian. Like, if you send this in like a one shot, I don't know. I don't think the attention mechanism can and the context can have everything at once. If you did like step by step, I think it would be better if you did like small steps, because then everything in context could kind of hone in on the detail you're looking for. and you don't get so much poison in your context when it's gonna pick the next token prediction, right? So yeah, I think it would be better to do this modular and less high signal context. That seems just like a better way to do it. But it's a cool experiment, at least. And it's very impressive.
Revenue, but you can also see something that I'll make a call out. They are using kind of human readable numbers here. They also have, as they had before, the structure correct and the different tiles correct. They are, however, using the tiles they were using before. And in my PRD, it was very, very clear. I want poster only tiles with no other information on them in these sections. So it really completely missed details like that. What did Opus do? Opus gives us a very interesting looking, really.
Yeah, Fabian. Yeah, you need to keep everything clean and start new chats from time to time. Yeah, that's what I mean. So if you just keep the context, like everything is gonna be sent into the attention layers, right, in the model. And the more context you have in the attention layer, that's gonna affect the next token prediction. So if you keep that smaller and on point, I would say you can get a better token prediction if you have like a specific instruction. So clearing is really important, I think. And keeping the context window under control.
Personally, I look at this and think, well, that's kind of interesting looking until I realize.
But if you don't care about, like I do, when I do UI, I don't really have these specific instructions. So I don't really care what the token prediction is gonna be. Is the button gonna be in courier or courier serif? I don't care. So for me, it doesn't really matter. But if you have instructed it to be in courier serif 45, then it can get conflicted with the attention, the context, and the token prediction, right?
Well, this is one score, this is another score. They're shown different ways with percentage and some kind of progressive pie chart. So it just doesn't work that you're telling me the same information in two different ways. They don't have the detail of budget, and they've introduced these panels or what card layout might look like on the background. That's not in the design. It's not desired. They do have full bleed still, so that's a plus. Let's go to the last one. Is it a winner? This is our chance. Did GPT-5 using Codex CLI, did it crush it? Okay, so I will say disregard this bar. This was something that was there from the very first build and did not index that out. Again, this is one of those things that unless I'm explicitly saying remove this from your design, I think gets stuck unless it has explicit instructions. I haven't learned the model well enough to know. I don't like that it's there, so I will ding it for it, but at the same time, just disregard it for now and pretend that we basically had this kind of expression, which has the same sort of relativistic size issue that we saw before. We see a button with kind of color problems and light versus dark text.
Do you think he is like a front-end developer or like a full stack? He has to be. I don't know so much about UI stuff, but he seems to be very knowledgeable about this. You can start a new chat or clear context anytime when you use files as context prompt to-do list. Yeah. I agree, Decory. I thought GPT-5 was supposed to simplify AI usage, but now even power users and developers are struggling with it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see, but I don't wanna go back to like the prompting from 2 years ago. Do people really want that? You have to spend like ages structuring your prompts, making everything perfect. I don't want that. That's just annoying.
Situation going on. They have two different scores. Interesting. So they also indexed in on the score circle that was being asked for, but you'll also see that their numbers are sometimes collapsed and sometimes not collapsed. So it didn't do quite as good a job about kind of understanding the information that it was distributing. It also didn't put these next to one another, which you would think that they're related enough that they should be near one another. It stayed indexed on its database background. Some reason its roots are in database application design. So I would say that they didn't this. They also have the old tile bunch of things. It is better, absolutely better. And if you remember the last video, this is a world better. So this would take me 2 or 3 hours probably of reasonable, if I was just prompting, to get it into the shape that I want. Whereas
So he's saying that GPT-5 was much better using it in Codex than using it in Cursor like he tried a few days ago. So yeah, that's why I picked Codex today for my test.
yesterday, I was willing to give up on it because it just would have taken way too long for me to get it into shape. So those are the kind of findings. That's kind of the bleeding eyeball version of let's look at absolutely everything they designed from having a very discrete PRD and screenshots to go along with it. All right, so what does this all mean? That's the real question. Okay, so that's a really deep fly through of the same application 5 times now. And I hope to not build it anytime soon once again, as I would love to build something else for a moment. But what is this all about? What's our finding here? Is GPT-5 better than Claude Code? Is Claude Code the answer? So obviously my answer is going to be clear here. If you've gotten this far, then you know my
It's gonna be no.
answer is likely to be sometimes, sometimes not. It depends on how you use it. Really, the winner here is us in clearly understanding, number one, the best thing you can do is give a clearer signal, give less context at a time. These are really obvious. I know a lot of you
Yeah, that's exactly what they say. You need high signal, less context at a time if you're gonna do agentic coding. Perfect.
are going, yeah. But this is experimental proof of those evaluations instead of just assuming it. Yes, don't give it your entire application to begin with and imagine that it's going to be able to conclude that. Build it smaller. Build it your prompts and what you're asking it to do like you would any project. Let's build this first and see if that works. Great. Now let's go build this. You're going to be much better off. Also, the more detailed your prompts are, not to a fault, I would think, but every kind of extra detail probably helps in your prompting. So don't leave it so generic such that it's trying to guess what you mean. With GPT-5, my finding is you have to be explicit. You really need to be explicit. Like we saw those things that it would not remove, even though it wasn't in its PRD, saying you have to meet this. This is what the detail page is. And it wasn't meeting the visual definition of it either with a visual example.
Yeah, maybe you have to think a bit different on GPT-5. Yeah, I might try that. You have to revisit your results while building to make adjustments. If your UI, yeah, I agree, Edgar. Sucks on Cursor. We create PRDs and markdown fields. Now we don't prompt anymore. So Decory, have you doing a lot of research on PRDs and markdown files to kind of set up your projects? Could be interesting if you can share something about it. I haven't spent too much time on that. Hello, Richard. Cursor have RAG or long-term memory now. If you want to make sure it implements your PRD. I think Cursor uses RAG to index long-term memory. I'm not quite sure about that. I haven't been on the Pro on Cursor for a while now, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe some other guys knows. That's what I like about GPT-5. It doesn't do what you're not asking it to do. Sometimes that could be fine, I guess. But that requires more of your prompting, right? It's pros and cons, I would say. Mostly pros. Polymarket tool. It's coming along. I haven't been playing around with it for a while now. But it's pretty fun. I've been doing some trading with it. The Polymarket trading. It's fun. I've lost like $20, but it's still fun. GPT-5 is more or less proof that while we always wanted better instruction following, having it now comes with its own consequences. Yeah, that's true, Edgar. Totally agree. So you can get contradictory instructions, like you say something early in the prompt and later in the prompt you kind of contradict yourself, and that kind of messes everything up. So you gotta be more careful, I guess. If GPT-5 doesn't ignore the contradiction, you can get into some issues. Each Markdown file for me is around 1 to 2,000 lines for every given planned page or component. Phases of dev broken down into steps and micro steps. Do you write them yourself, Decorate, or do you use like Claude to help you write them? Klein has something called Memory Bank. It's a folder with Markdown files that create summaries as you move along, building your project like long-term memory. Yeah, so more like a scratchpad, yeah. Pretty interesting. But what if you have to redo something, Richard? Does it erase that? Let's say you have to drop a feature or something, or like a small thing.
Those things should have indexed it out, and it didn't. So I would say that with GPT-5, if you're using that brand of model for a while, you may want to kind of experiment with giving it a much cleaner set and a much more explicit set of instructions than you might have to with other models. Maybe you're already doing that and you're getting great results with it. I've had conversations with multiple people in the comments to these videos and been getting really good feedback. I really appreciate it because that gives me a clarity on what people are seeing in the world so that it's not just my perspective that I'm sharing here. So thank you for that. And a lot of people are reporting that they're getting great results with GPT-5. And I agree. I am not trying to bash GPT-5. Again, I think the finding is from an engineering standpoint, it seems tuned to give very high quality engineering output. And
yeah, I kind of agree. We used GPT-5 today. It did a really good job. And I think it's a fine model. Pretty good. It's not better than Claude or Opus, but it's at least on point, I would say. So just good for all consumers. There's nothing negative about that. Biggest win will be not messing up working code rather than one-shotting. Yeah, I agree, Hillary. That's the most annoying thing. Let's say you work on something and suddenly it changed something that was already working. Agents work about 4 hours for each Markdown file. Wow, that's pretty crazy. If you can set something up, we can go through Decorate. That would be pretty cool. I can go through that on stream if you have maybe some blog post or something, or like a video. You don't have to do video, like a blog post or something. I'm eager to learn more about PRDs and the planning part of agentic coding. I think at some point having an efficient graph grow along the code base could be helpful. Yeah. So Edgar, do you mean like not logging? Is that like, or just a list of all changes and stuff? Use GPT-5 Pro and Google DeepThink to write the files. Opus 4.1 to refine and tailor. Damn, you must have a lot of expensive subscriptions, Decorate. So GPT-5 is better than Sonnet. I don't know. Probably. Yeah, that'd be cool, Decorate. Has anyone used Cairo? Really good job at planning, task, implementing the task. It's slower but accurate. I haven't accessed yet, Aaron, but if I do, I will probably give it a shot. No, literally a graph database with nodes and connections. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, that could be cool. To just keep the structure. Knowledge, structure, context. Let's finish this video.
We're only using essentially the Sonnet version of GPT-5. We haven't used GPT-5 Pro. That's not out there for me to use yet, for me to really kick the tires and see how much better it is, but I would expect very similar to the Sonnet and Opus. It has better behaviors in some places and doesn't really matter in others. Sorry, wishy-washy every single time, but the outcome of this is I hope this helped you make up your mind of what you think is better or in what places it's more ergonomic for the kind of code you're doing or the way you work. It certainly helped inform me. Frankly, the next thing I'm going to build with not surprisingly, is Claude Code, but I do want to do a little more kicking of the tires of Codex CLI, just in case it's me and the way that I'm prompting it. I need to learn that if that's the case. All right. Well, thanks for coming along for the ride on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, great video. Maybe a bit too much on the UI for me, but I'm gonna like it. Very good. I am subscribed. Yeah, I'll share the video. I guess. Yeah, pretty good video. I like his. Yeah, that's the B-man method. Yeah, I'll check that out. I guess a lot of you know about this guy, but let's share the video anyway. It was pretty cool. So this was the video if you want to watch it again. Archron by Cole. Yeah, we had a look at that. That looked interesting. That was pretty cool. I see people use PRD, Task Manager, Memory Bank, maybe overkill. Curious to hear other people's experience with that. Yeah, me too. I kind of want to hear maybe like, it looks like Decory has a lot of experience with this. And Edgar has some stuff working on like some agentic setups we might have a look at next week. That's gonna be pretty cool. I want to show you how I use the computer use preview model from OpenAI. Sorry, I got it right again. I want to show you how I use the computer use preview model from OpenAI to do human work on desktop's AWS workspace that I launched 100 at a time. Yeah, that sounds cool. Maybe you can come on, we can try to do, you can do some screen share if you want to comment. You don't have to be on the video if you don't want to. That's up to you. You can pre-record, screen share or something. We can play it on the stream. That'd be pretty cool. That means everyone that's here, if you have something you want to share with other people, and it's best to do it on either like come on the stream, we can do like an interview or just hang out and you can screen share. That would be cool. I'm open for that. That'd be really cool. Because now it's just me talking, right? But if other people have something they want to share, yeah, let's do it. Maybe we need to set up something. So maybe I can, this app here I have, I can do some iterations on it and we can set up some, people can sign up to, if they have something to share on the stream, they can just come on and do their presentation or something like that. I might do that. I know Edgar wants to come on. DoWeb, I think he says he wants to come on. Now Decory and probably a lot of other people to have some cool information to share. So I'm gonna try to set that up. It's not gonna be tomorrow. I'm doing some traveling tomorrow. So no stream for me tomorrow. But Thursday I should probably be back. Yeah, I think we need a Discord. It might be that. Then I gotta think about mods and stuff. But I'll try to figure it out. Live panel discussion, we can do that. Then I guess we need more people than just me. But we'll figure something out. I think we just need a way to organize it. So if I do some iterations on this app here, we create a second page where we can sign up. And that could be pretty easy. Keep Discord simple. Yeah, I've tried it before. I will look into it. I know you're very eager on Discord, David. Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of people here with a lot of knowledge, right? And not everyone is here every time, but if you have like a setup, so maybe Edgar and Decory and other people here could join this day, we can kind of set it up. So I'm gonna try to figure out a good system to do this. so we can plan. We can just have it totally open so people can see. And some people can do screen shares, demos. We can just have a chat. Not so interesting always. It's just me talking. Could be a bit boring in the long term. But if we get more people involved, I thought it could be more interesting. So Richard also want to Discord. Okay, so I'm gonna try to figure it out. We should plan it though, not to tank the quality of your content. The quality is pretty low. Still, it's pretty low. So don't worry about the quality. But the most important part is the sound. I have done everything I ever wanted on YouTube, so I don't have any aspirations anymore on YouTube. Everything I ever wanted from YouTube, I have completed, so it doesn't really matter anymore to me. So we have a single UI that allows the human and O3 model perform playwright, okay? But can you really do that on a live stream, Decory? Or do you need to pre-record it? Aim to be able to say that one day. Yeah, Leonardo, you get there. Yeah, for me, I just don't have any more ambitions on YouTube. Like, everything I ever wanted with YouTube is far expected my expectations. But you can come on and share your content, Leonardo, if you want to. We can watch some of your videos if you have anything cool. You can set up a Discord in 5 minutes for chatting and a voice channel in another 3 minutes. Yeah, Richard, that sounds interesting. So you think you can do it on the live stream, Decory? Cool. For experience, when we had a podcast guest and did not at least talk about the episode beforehand, we created like, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, you should probably have a plan what's gonna be, so I can do the title and headlines, right? That at least pretty good. Yeah, Decorate if you kind of know if you think, but we can't, if you're gonna do it on stream, we can't wait like 40 minutes for the VMs to get ready. But you know that better than me. So, like I said, I'm gonna set it up. I'm gonna look into Discord if people want that. Yeah, sounds good. And I'm gonna fix something here on the Open app where people can sign up if they have something, demos to share. Or just if they have just articles we can go through on the stream, we can fix that. So that could be pretty interesting. And I can do a community post on it and maybe people see it. I can do a members video on it too. Even mention it in my next video. So yeah, but I need to go now. It's been a long, almost 3 hours. So thanks for a lot of interesting conversations today. We had a look at GPT-5 with Codex. I was pretty impressed. Codex CLI. Claude code is worth it, $20. Yeah. Remember, at the end of the week, we're gonna do a members giveaway on the YouTube channel. We might even do a stream giveaway. We'll see. Yeah, Leonardo, if you have anything to share, we can look at it. DoWeb, thanks for tuning in. Arsoni, as always. Edgar, great to have you here. Decory, appreciate your information today. Richard, Davidas, as always. Thank you everyone for tuning in. And I hope you see you again maybe on Thursday. Tomorrow I'm off. Cetor, 8F, some good information. Yeah, do that. Enjoy your day. And yeah, hopefully see you again on Thursday. And yeah, bye-bye.